Welcome back to the Isaac Abrams Show, everybody. I'm your host, Isaac Abrams. Today's very special guest, Mr. Alex Conn.
Hell yeah.
I was very late today, so I owe Alex an apology.
No, you're good.
And the reason I was late doesn't matter, but what I do is come in 2 hours before the episode starts and I turn the AC on. That didn't happen today. So we're going to call this the Sweatbox episode. We're going to sweat through it.
Yeah.
We're going to do a quick little 40 minutes and catch up. Here's what I do know about Alex. He's a comedian and a philanthropist. I call everybody a philanthropist.
Yeah.
Podcast producer. And you've gone overseas on SOA. What is the military tour?
No, not overseas, but I have stateside base show. I do a lot of base shows. Yes.
Oh, good.
Stateside. We're planning our first Japan trip, and it's not going to happen. But we're going to get Kosovo. People going to Russia.
Oh, wow!
It's. I could tell the story actually if you want, but
I'd love to hear it.
It's a guy that used. So I work with this nonprofit called Rapid Fire Comedy Tour, owned by my buddy Michael D'Angelo. It's great. We do cool shit all the time. Go to bases. We bring equipment. We set up in the field with a generator, and we do shows for guys who just finished 2-week, 3-week trainings and stuff like that. And a guy he used to serve with, is in Kosovo now, and he's got this unit that. Sucks. No, I mean they're not the unit sucks, but they're just in the front of it, like the people who need morale building the most. Yeah, and they're in the shit. Yeah, they're in the shit, and they just got some comedy show rolled through, some kind of traveling thing, and we'd already been working on Japan, and some guy in his buddy's unit was like, yo, these guys sucked, but we saw these guys in Pendleton in California, these guys here, and he showed him his Instagram, because we should get these guys to come out. And my buddy a guy he served with is that guy's commander. So I'm telling the story terribly, but
I'm tracking.
Yeah. So this guy goes, well, fuck, I served with D'Angelo. So he hits him up. He goes, yo, what would it take to get you and some buddies out here? And he's like, literally just space on an airplane. Right. We'll all come. We all want to be there.
And they got plenty of airplanes.
Yeah. Give us a place to sleep and give us some transpo, and we're there. So it's also kind of heating up over there. So I doubt they'll do it, but you know.
And Kosovo is in Russia?
It's over there. I don't know the exact.
It's in the hot zone right now.
Yeah, it's close enough that, I mean, I had a high school teacher that I was like a aide for, and I was very close with. And one of the few, you have like those 3 teachers you still talk to as an adult. And he was like reserves Navy, but his thing was always, if it heats up in Russia, I just leave immediately. And I haven't talked to him in a couple of years, but he might be out now. Sure. But I think it's kind of there's always been some forward plan for that part of the world. Right.
If temperature gets to X, then we are on plane
We're
Y.
there. Yeah, exactly. So, who knows? I don't even know if we could get that. I don't know, but I think we will be doing overseas stuff shortly. That's awesome. That's what we're trying. Japan's a big hub for Marines, so that's kind of why we're trying to go to.
Yeah. Did you see that that doc on, I think it's Instagram, not Instagram, Netflix or Amazon, where it's like Tom Segura and like 2 other cats, and they're on their first, like, not a military tour, but they had gone to Japan and like done a bunch of cities.
Oh, no.
It's pretty good. They were playing for all expats. It's cool to see Tom at, I don't want to say our level, but not at the level Tom's at now.
Yeah, it was back when he would take those shitty gigs.
100%.
Yeah. Well, it's funny if you ever watch. They just pulled them all. I'm sure they're trying to monetize them. But for the longest time, you could go and watch all the old Evening at the Improvs.
Oh yeah.
And you could see like Seinfeld when he was like still wet behind the ears, and you're like, oh god, we all sucked. Yeah. Like you see these guys, and you're like, oh, they put you on TV this bad. Right. Like, we'll all get that,
And if that was how bad you were to get a TV show, how bad was everybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the scene was, we've all heard the stories about, Well, and the funny thing is you go to the store now and all the names on the wall, I don't know any of them.
Yeah, but they won't take any down.
No, but which is cool. I understand that, but it's like, it also makes you realize where you're like, all I want is to get past at the store, and you look up and you're like, Bob Johnson. So you're like, well, who the fuck? No, but it in the grand scheme, in the whole scope of it, who cares?
I have a friend whose uncle was passed in the 70s, and his name's right by the bar. Yeah. And I just had Frank Castillo on. Yeah. And he was one of the most recent people to get passed. Yeah, like, and I think is he still on the is he like one of the first ones on the front parking area there? I think he's on the wall towards where you're going to. That's like where all the new people are going, which is kind of going to be a cool space, I think, because that's where all.
who knows how podcasting is going to age?
Yeah.
But if it ages well at all, that's where anyone who is kind of like blowing up in the independent space will probably all end up on that outside parking.
Yeah, I think that's where like Tim Dillon and the new group ended up. But they did you see the Chocolate Sundays documentary?
I did not. I've heard about it. I did not see it. Yeah.
They added a whole, like by the front door to the main room, they added a whole extra space and they added all the Chocolate Sundays names.
Oh, wow.
That hadn't been ever added. Because
wow.
there were mega performers that were playing only on Chocolate Sundays and they never got their due and they passed and signed a bunch of people.
Well, a lot of people don't know. I still don't even think Tiffany Haddish is passed at the store. She could perform there anytime she wants, you know. But
her name's, I think she...
the last time I'd heard, it wasn't. But it's just funny how that it eludes you and it kind of doesn't even matter.
Yeah, you get to the point where you don't need it. Like Joe Coy's not past this.
Yeah, he's like, but I'm Joe Coy. If I want to sell their room out, they'll let me.
Yeah.
It is funny though the passing I'm sorry, not crack 'em up.
Chocolate Sundays.
Chocolate Sundays, yeah. I worked at the Improv for years, and we have Mo Bet a Monday there forever.
Right.
Which was the much more... It was the Inglewood to Chocolate Sundays Hollywood, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was very known as that. It was kind of a rough space. It ended kind of violently, you know.
Oh, wow.
There was somebody kind of beat up a third-party security guard, and money was getting weird. And after like 25 years, they were like, all right, we're done. And then that was the old producer. They bring someone new.
Yeah.
But
D-Ray has it now. On Monday, right?
D-Ray hosted it forever, too. So it was kind of already... He was the face of it, you know. But so now he's got that. But
he just smashed on Snoop's special.
Oh, wow.
Just smashed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. That's cool.
It's Fucking Around with Snoop Dogg. It's on Netflix during the festival. They
wow.
shot it. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
He's hilarious. I mean, he's amazing. I got to work during the pandemic, a private for him.
Oh, wow.
He was doing like a corporate streaming gig, but he wanted to do it on the stage at the Improv.
Oh, cool.
So they just text me and they're like, hey, D-Ray's going to pay you. And I was like, all right. And I know every time I've ever seen him work with anyone, he breaks people off couple $100 bills for a half a night's worth of work. So I was like, y'all come, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I know he's going to bring 20 hot ass chicks, 10 sketchy dudes that are going to ask me, you know, for water and shit all day.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to make a few $100. And I did. It was super fun, but he's cool. But anyway, when you see all those different guys at Mo Bet a Monday, people that Hollywood is off the radar.
Yeah, they don't care.
Scruncho, Corey Holcomb. You know how many people in Hollywood have no idea who Corey Holcomb is?
I'm one of them.
I mean, he's Bill Burr for black people.
Wow.
I mean, he's destructive.
Yeah.
Destructive. You know what I mean? So it is funny how a lot of that world is just like, you know, they're almost like alternative comics, or they're all these different wings of showbiz where it's like, yeah, but it's not as profitable as, you know, blonde girl with a nice smile
to you
know.
Yeah, if you market there's such talent out there that if you market them to the right audiences,
well, now
everybody's
you can.
a gold mine. 100%.
I think media is only getting, I think it's getting fuzzier and it's getting weirder, but I think it's gonna, I mean, it's better than television now.
Well, now that you and I, specifically you and I, have figured out the exact number that it takes to create a Hollywood studio, anybody has access.
Exactly.
It's like, here's the price, here's what it costs for me or someone of my talents to come in and make your show up on the internet every single week. And we know how to drive traffic to the shows and how to promote them. And like,
it's a business.
It is 100% a business.
You just got to learn it.
You have to learn it. And people don't, I talk about this with people all the time. To be a podcast producer, you have to know cameras. You have to know how to edit. You have to be a sound guy. Audio. Upload. You have to know social media.
Edit.
Upload. SEO. Search engine optimization. How to target and tag stuff. How to clip things out.
Yeah, how to build an audience.
What time to post on social media.
How to monetize. I mean, there's 20 different ways to monetize. I mean, there's paywalls. There's merch. There's a million different things you can do. Liquid Death, baby.
I'm not sponsored by it, but I hope that if they see me enough.
They're throwing... I think Liquid Death's doing what Red Bull did.
Yeah.
Because like Red Bull, you could not get... nobody paid for Red Bull for 20 years.
Nope.
You go anywhere in the town and there are two hot chicks that will give you a Red Bull and suck your dick.
I used to have their numbers.
Exactly.
Because I would be on film sets and I'd be like, my guys want some Red Bull. And they would be like, where are you? And
Comedy
they got
shows.
off work early.
Yeah.
Because they would take their cooler off their back and they would dump it in the set cooler on a commercial. And they'd be like, thank you.
Cool.
And they would leave. And they could fill
in
up
a
their
cool little
floor.
car.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we dropped off 200 units at Universal Studios today. And their boss would be like, that's dope. How'd you do that? It's like, I know a guy.
Yeah. So now having an actual Red Bull problem, like trying to get rid of coffee and going to Red Bull. Shit's $6 a can.
Yeah.
Like in Hollywood. So it's like, well, it's kind of the same as, I think Liquid Death is just giving everybody a free taste
100%
for $6 water.
Yeah.
So
these, we used to have a show here that was sponsored by these. So we had cases and cases of it.
Yeah.
And then when we ran out, I was like, oh, just, what are they, like 50 cents? I think it's water. And then I got 2 cases on Amazon for $28.
Yeah.
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 That's
$1.25
a piece.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just funny the world of promotion is same as
100%.
Same as podcasts.
Yeah. I think the podcast ad scales are about to drastically change.
I think they've already drastically changed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's funny is Forbes ran an article in 2019 that was saying in 2020 the ad space for podcasting was going to triple. And that was before the pandemic happened.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, it probably quadrupled, you know what I mean? Like, they were already moving to this, like, huge scale, you know what I mean? And now there are all these businesses that are, I mean, literally a business that sells what they call ball shavers. You know what I mean? And they're a household name. So, yeah, I think it's going to scale probably 2 or 3 more times,
The ball shavers guys are smart because they had up a bunch of my little shows that hadn't monetized yet.
Yeah.
And they gave them promo codes anyway.
Yeah.
And if you sold them on your show, you got paid. So it's
direct response.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell smaller shows. It's like, if you have less than 10,000 people, currently this show, like, get promo codes out. You can start making a couple of bucks. And
the cool thing is you only have to sign up for promo codes on shit you actually like.
Yeah.
Like, we're now, my podcast, we're getting ads now. And sometimes you're like given ads for something and you're like, the minute the recorder's off, you're like, this shit's garbage, right. But it's like
paperweights,
we're really good about not taking a lot of that. But to our advertisers' dismay, she's like, do you want this? And we're like, nah, I mean, we're just not, our audience is 35 to 50-year-old women with a couple bucks.
Seriously?
I mean, it's the best audience in the world.
Let's talk about your show then.
Okay, yeah.
What's it called?
It's called Cover to Cover with Chris Franjola. I am I started as a producer, but I'm pretty much now just second chair.
Okay.
And we don't do guests.
Yeah.
It's us kind of going through pop culture, and I tag him up. I edit it, I upload it, and that's about it. And he knows his audience very well. He was Chelsea lately, so his audience were all 25 to 35 and loved dirty, dark, mean comedy 10 years ago.
Right.
So now they're all a little older kids, and we get a lot of people. Have you heard of Juicy Scoop?
I have.
So a lot. We're talking about the podcast space. Yeah. Juicy Scoop is Rogan for housewives.
100%.
I mean, she makes so much goddamn money.
Yeah.
And her and Chris both come from the Chelsea world. Yeah. And a lot of our fan base kind of came from that too, and it's cool. I mean, I don't know. It's cool. I'm kind of a few years older than a lot of their sons at this point.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of them liking Chris, having, I think it's just, they're very defensive of me. I love our fans because a lot of people, like when they try to shit on me, my fans will come in hot.
Right. They got your back.
Yeah. Which is cool because it's so easy to lose a fan base these days. So
man, it's so hard to get one, and then the minute you get it, it's like I'm just looking Chris up. I just want to put a face to his. Oh yeah. Oh, what a handsome fella.
Yeah, the handsome guy from Chelsea lately.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean the second handsome guy, like the second most handsome was Josh Wolfe. So it's
right.
Chris. Yeah.
Josh was in here recently.
He's
doing
dope
Joe's
too.
show. I love him. He moved to Nashville.
Well, he actually just moved to Vegas.
Did he really?
Yeah, he left. He and his wife left Nashville.
Wow.
So he's actually. I don't know. I don't know if I can say that, but yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Either way,
we'll let him tell it.
Yeah, but no. Just I mean, he and Chris are good friends, so I kind of he's one of those guys that. There are a lot of these people that, especially post-pandemic, you don't get to meet people. Now we are all in different cities.
Right.
So now it's like, oh, I know you from the internet, but I don't know you, so.
Yeah. Oddly enough, the internet is what made me quit this show, put this show on pause. After season 1, I did, the last 6 episodes were over Zoom. And I was just like, man, what am I doing? I'm just Zooming people.
Yeah.
And I quit that to start a daily pop culture podcast. So if you ever run out of topics, go scroll. We did 428 episodes. Go poach my show.
Yeah.
Because we did On This Day, we did celebrity birthdays, we did all the facts. It's 15 minutes a day. We put it out every single day during
See, that's a fun model. The 15-minute, just quick and easy. I love that. I think that's like, I think it's a fun, I don't know. I think too many people are just podcasting's a longer medium. I think it's the last long medium, or one. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I guess television shows are the long medium, but they're not really done for. It's pretty much fiction cornered, you know.
Our idea was that if you have a 15-minute drive to work,
exactly,
we're gonna nail you. Mm-hmm. And it just, no one was driving to work.
Yeah.
And it just didn't take off. We got to the point where we were doing really well, and then my co-host had to leave for tour, so we pre-banked 150 episodes and like got all the SEO out, did it, programmed it, and then when she got back, it was like, oh, we really only have time to do 3 episodes a week, and then it was 2 episodes a week, and it just started fizzling. So we didn't want to like burn out. We just kind of wanted to end on a high note. But if we ever bring it back, we'll probably advertise on your show.
We'll fucking do it.
That's our perfect demographic.
Yeah, they're the best. I mean, they're great. And the cool thing we've done too is have you ever heard the term building tribe?
Yeah.
Like, that's one of those things. I think that's another aspect of podcasting. It's give your audience a place to exist when you're asleep. You know what I mean? Give them a place to talk to each other. Mm-hmm. And lucky for us, we're not too divisive, so we get to kind of exist in the Facebook world.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I don't even use Facebook.
I don't either.
I mean, my mom will just, every now and then, my mom will be like, hey, you fucked something up. That's literally, I kind of stay off of it, you know, but my mom will tell me when our fans say something, but
that's where clips live and die.
Yeah, I mean, there's about 4,000 ladies that just talk to each other all day about the shit we talk about.
Wow.
You know, and it's I don't know, it's wild.
That's insane.
And the funny thing is you look at someone like me, I kind of wasn't, with what I do, at least on stage and who I am, I probably was going to play a tough, and I still am, and I'm still giving it the old college try. Mm-hmm. But Hollywood's a tough town for someone like me to crack.
Yeah.
For Chris, the day Chelsea Lately was over, his agents were like, all right, it's been, so it's like, it is funny that you're seeing people have resurgences, having second wins, having their first win. Mm-hmm. People, any entrepreneur, their first business or two are going to fail. You're just watching people have their first podcast, and it's not going.
Yeah.
But they'll rebrand, keep the SSR, just keep going, and
a lot of my friends from Glee, I used to work on Glee a little bit.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Just for the promos, not on the season. But they're trying it in different combos.
Yeah.
And some of them are popping and some of them aren't. But they're like, well, if you change this and have this on, and then there's like all the kids from One Tree Hill. They get together and they rewatch One Tree Hill.
Yeah.
And you listen to them give commentary on it. You can watch it again with them. And that's like right in my age
bracket. And if you love One Tree Hill, that's it.
You're hooked.
And it's so funny. Like, there are a million. And that's the other cool thing. They don't have to be... I think initially podcasts are like, it just goes until it dies.
Yeah.
Like Josh Adam Myers, he's like, listen, I'm doing 500 episodes.
That's it.
Doing 500.
Yep.
And it's like, if you pick up a fan base by 100, everyone kind of knows when the crescendo, and everyone no one's surprised. You can always do something else. He probably will.
Yeah.
Take some time and
he got picked up by Spotify.
Yeah, exactly. And he's another, I steal marketing tricks from that guy all the time. Like,
man.
Just, he said something on an episode. He goes, give me a free 24-hour ad on your Facebook or on your Instagram story. And he goes, the idea, I was like, that's a genius. That's like great marketing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, how about you guys give me a one-day ad?
Yeah.
Genius.
The other thing the grassroots thing for a guest-based show is just, getting as many bigger and bigger guests as you can. Mm-hmm. And then if they'll drop your clip, hey, I was just on Isaac's show, here's the clip.
They'll come over.
That's, to me, and I was never, in season 1, I was not where I am now as far as like the community that I've built through photography in the comedy business. And I wasn't even really a comic back during season 1. I thought I was, but I wasn't going up.
I mean, you always think you are, and then 3 years from now, I'll go, man, I thought I was 3 years ago. I mean.
And then I ate shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever heard Josh Brolin's story?
I heard Josh on, I want to say it's Smartless, but I could be totally wrong. It might have been Mark Maron.
You might know more than I do. I'd kind of heard it. I don't even know. I don't even think it was him telling it. But the way I'd heard his story was essentially he kind of flunked out of Hollywood the first time.
Yeah.
But his family was this Hollywood royalty. Mm-hmm. And he's like, fucking, I'm going back to acting school. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go and get better.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about comedy is you can always, and I look at it as you got 6 month spans where you're like, I'm going to be out every night for 6 months and then I'm going to rest. I'm going to take a month off and just, you know? Yeah. And then I'm going to work harder on media for a few months, and then I'm going to, you know.
Yeah.
But
I'm trying to find that perfect balance, right? Working on the show for X number of hours a month, writing for X amount of time per day.
Yeah.
How much of that do I want to burn as a clip on social to get people to come to the shows? And I've had like a completely different experience. Like I started the podcast studio the day I wanted to be a comic.
Yeah.
And then I took my camera to the clubs and I met everybody like you. And then through my photography, I was able to meet as many people as I wanted to. And then I was able to get clients in here. And now I'm getting opportunities. Yeah. Like I'm opening for Maddie Smith in Minnesota, the July 7th through the 10th at the Mall of America.
It still takes time. You know what I mean?
But I've spent so much time working on the media part that I haven't spent enough time writing.
Yeah.
So this episode will come out after I'm back from Minnesota. So we'll see how it went. Yeah. But my whole dedicated life is going to be writing my 10 minutes that I need from Minnesota that I don't have.
And you know what's so interesting is like you kind of do have to be in service to this. Yeah. And that's kind of anything. You can't just show, I mean, the white belt that can't afford his gym dues sweeps the dojo. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like there's everyone is at a certain place. They're at a certain level, you know, and I did the same thing. I mean, I was a door guy at the Comedy Works in Denver for a year.
Oh, cool.
The Improv for 4.5 years I worked. Yeah. You know, I worked at podcast studios. I worked the podcast that I now make my entire living on, I worked for free on for a couple of years. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, that's just kind of...
That is a lost art in Hollywood.
Yeah, it's
the internship.
Put your time.
Yeah.
Earn it.
I've offered 20 guys.
Yeah, exactly.
This door is open. I'm here by myself.
We keep doing it too. Third Wheel. We keep doing it too.
Come learn.
Yeah, come learn. Yeah. There's a kid that works at Third Wheel that is taking you up on it, and I want to give him a shout out because I think he listens to the show. What's his name? Young cat. He does some switching for some of the other shows. Oh, Armin?
Yes.
Armin's great.
Armin is a great dude. Great,
yeah.
One of the only people that's like, hey, man, and he's got his hustle on. Yeah. He's hit me up a couple of times to come check the studio.
Well, me and all my friends who are all kind of, I'd say we're doing bad. We're all at least we're trending upward.
Sure.
We're all making money on this a little bit, not enough, but you're never making enough.
Yeah.
Everyone I know who made it a step or two up, literally fucking went in and put the time. You know what I mean? When we used to do that show on Hollywood Boulevard, 8 dudes would bark for 4 hours a night, and we'd put 100 people in that room.
Wow.
And that's where we all learned how to do comedy. You know what I mean? So it's like, and now I try to get people, I tell people, hey, I'll give you $20 to come sit at the door at Third Wheel for 2 hours. And they're like, $20? And I'm like, dude, I would have done it for 3 minutes, you know, like, and I did do it for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, post-pandemic, there are a lot of people who came out here post-pandemic and they were able to hop into the back of a very short line, but they don't understand that just because the line is short doesn't mean the people in front of you in line, we all got hazed, you know what I mean? Or we, not even hazed, put our time in.
Sure.
You gotta earn it.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's sad how lost it is.
I get a lot of shit for how quickly I was able to tour with a couple of people.
Yeah.
And granted, I'm not going on stage. I'm there as a photographer and a videographer. But what people don't realize is that I shot 4 shows a night for free for 4 years.
Yeah.
Before I got my first paying gig in comedy.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I do it outside of comedy for money for other people, corporate, all that shit, rock and roll, whatever. But on every single night that I had off, I was in every club that had a show that would let me shoot for free. I was DMing managers, DMing the hosts, whatever. Yeah. Can I shoot? I'll give copies to everybody. Everybody gets, they're like, how much? I'm like, just want to shoot. I just want to be in the scene. I want to meet the people. I want to make friends. So a lot of people will tell me I'm so lucky.
Yeah. No.
Oh, buddy.
No.
You could be lucky too. Yeah. If you want, do you want to work for free?
Show up early, leave late. 200
shows a year for 4 years, 800 shows I shot for free. How many of those are you willing to do? Yeah. And I'm patting myself on the back now, and it feels a little self-gratuitous, but like when you get to the other side of all that free work and you start benefiting from the experiences, then
everyone else is very quick to how did that happen?
But you also want to be like, dude, you can have everything you want. You just have to go and like intern or work for free. And
and honestly, the thing, like, even the work I was paid on, even I made a decision. I mean, I was a sound guy. You know, I ran sound in Vegas. I did conventions in Vegas before I got into comedy. Like, I had a professional career in events before even starting comedy. So coming to comedy, when the Improv's like, hey, we give board operators $15 an hour. It's not near what I'm worth as a sound guy.
No.
But even that was my that was my actual job in Hollywood for years, was making $15 an hour, because it was still very close. And you know what you get when you shoot 200 shows a night or 200 shows a year for 4 years straight? It's the same thing I got working at the Improv and at the Comedy Works. It's you get to see Theo crush, and you get to see him bomb. And those are both very valuable. Theo's such a great example. My first week in LA, I came out here to take the job at the Improv. And I saw, my first night at the Improv, I saw Theo have the best. I didn't really understand 15-minute comedy or showcase at the time.
It took me a minute to wrap my head around that too.
And I watched him destroy. And then the next night I saw the exact same set, just kind of petered out at the end, and he didn't care. He just went, all right, you guys have been great. And it was one of those where it was like, oh yeah, it's just reps. It's just another day.
Yep.
It's just another free show he's working.
Yeah.
Just another step closer to greatness.
Because the big guys, we can leave Theo in, but the 15-minute sets that I've realized is like, I've watched Chris build his hour this year since they let him back on stage.
Yeah.
And it started with 5, and then it went to 10, and then you're watching him build it, and then some nights it's exactly the same, and the next night they might try one different tag.
Yep.
And they might pause a little bit longer, or they might laugh so you'll laugh. And it's all those little nuanced things.
Or they'll forget something, loop it in a weird way. Yeah.
Or some crowd work played.
Yeah, the funny thing is there's so many, I call them tricks at this point.
Yeah.
So many tricks to live performance that are, that if you know there are a lot of people who kind of aren't actually funny. They just know all the tricks.
Right.
You know who they are? They're teachers. They're public speakers. Public speaking is public classroom management for a teacher.
I came from public speaking.
Oh, interesting. What'd you do?
Well, I call it public speaking because it's the easiest way to describe it to people. But on set, the role that I play, if we're inside shooting a commercial, I get voice of God.
Yeah.
So I have 6,000 hours on a microphone in front of 150 crew members and celebrity talent.
Just directing, Yeah.
Let's move the crew over here. It's just easier than yelling, right? People
Yes.
would rather have an amplified voice than like, let's move over here. It's just like that kind of thing.
And once you start talking, people look.
Yeah. So
there's faces.
There's an instant comfortability on stage, and I thought that would translate over to comedy. The only thing that translates is the stage presence, and that's not even from my former job. It's from being in a band.
Yeah.
Not scared to be on stage. Not scared to bomb.
Ex-band people pick it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
They do.
Because, man, I tell you what, if playing bad music, what equals bomb, I've bombed thousands of times.
And you know what bad musicians have to do that bad comedians don't? Is they have to sit in the bad. I can abandon a joke. I can go to the next one.
Yeah.
You cannot, if you're 48 bars in or whatever.
Play the wrong note.
Yeah.
You gotta keep playing wrong notes.
Yeah. You just when it's bad, you just got to make eye contact with the people you're making bad art with and go, this is us right now. This is what being ill-prepared looks like.
Yeah. Oh, man. Ill-prepared. That's the perfect word for my band scenario.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the business of running the band more than I did playing my instrument. And we moved out here with the premise of like, we're either going to get jobs in the film business or we're going to get a record deal. And we got very close to one. And then everybody else got, we kind of just did our film business thing. But we might be putting out our old record. We did a record in Boston in 2008. We might be putting it out if we can find it. But I say that on every episode now. I'm like, it's going to be out by the end of the summer. And now I'm writing checks that my ass can't cash.
Yeah.
I'm busy doing other
now
shit.
I got to edit it.
Yeah. I got to, get it to a studio, master it and all that shit.
It's
It's weird, but let's talk about where are you from originally?
Vegas.
You were born in Vegas.
Born and raised. Yeah.
Born and raised.
My mother too. I was second generation. My dad has been there since he was 3. My family's been there.
That is my single favorite vacation destination.
That's fair.
I love it there.
Now that I get to go back, and now that I have now that I can go, because it's funny is I worked at the Cosmo for years, so I've seen it. I've walked celebrities through the back of house.
Yeah.
I've seen all the I did it for years, and now I'm able to go to that town and just be like, let's get a nicer hotel. And normally I just stay with my folks because it's easier, but it is fun to vacation there now. I've done it a couple times. Let me try to get Vegas,
I made the conscious decision a number of years ago when my film career kind of got to a certain level that I was going to invest in free rooms, which means it was an excuse to gamble a lot.
Yeah.
But I like the feeling of being an invited guest by the casino, and I've worked my, comp level up to the point where I get an email.
Where do you play?
My favorite place to play is the Encore.
Okay. You're a Venetian guy?
I like to stay at the Encore and play at the Wynn. Mm-hmm. And when I'm not there, I'd like to stay at the Cosmo.
Okay.
There's the tunnel that you can walk through.
Yeah, Encore. I was thinking Venetian Palazzo. Encore Wynn. I'm sorry.
Encore Wynn is...
It's been a few years.
Yeah, that's my favorite place to like go have a couples weekend. Mm-hmm. Single guys, I like the Cosmo.
Cosmo's fun.
But I like to see the Bellagio fountain. Mm-hmm. I have been staying at the Bellagio because I think it's one of the nicer MGM properties. Cosmo just got bought by the MGM.
Did not know that. Interesting. Yeah. I want to look at that now.
But they're keeping their identity points.
So when I was there, we got bought out by BlackRock.
Okay.
And it was just this whole, literally it was like my last month. And my job was, I walked around the convention space in a suit, but I was the guy who, there were guys who picked shit up and they didn't wear suits. And there were guys who wore suits and they didn't pick shit up. I was the guy who wore a suit and picked shit up.
You're the middle guy.
Yeah. If you needed anything, you called me and I knew where to get it. I knew the fastest way to around. I was just, if you were a convention client and you needed anything, you called me and I made it happen.
The convention space in the Cosmo is at a very confusing place.
Sure. I'll give you that.
Not to you.
No, well, it's very interestingly the Lanai, or not the Lanai, the Lanai or the Suites, the room Point Loma, the one that looks over the Bellagio fountain, it's on the other side of the pool there.
Yeah,
that's kind of a weird space because it draws it out, like it makes it seem like it's in both of the towers, but the convention space is really just 2, 3, and 4 above the front desk. Yeah.
It's confusing to me because I always wander through there looking for the pizza place.
It's on the restaurant side. Yeah.
And that's even the restaurant side. The pizza place is 1 floor up.
Third.
It's on the third
floor.
Well,
so the restaurant space is the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
The convention is 2, 3, and 4. So you could walk there from some of the, from the 3rd floor convention rooms, you could get there right away. But from the 2nd floor, you get a little lost. You got to jog around. It was... I don't know. It was the coolest job I've probably ever had too. I got to clock in and I talked to my boss once a week. I talked to clients all day.
Wow.
And just ran fun errands for people and got paid good money, so.
So there's let's just call it Oracle or whatever is having a conference.
Yeah.
And the point person
I've worked
Oracle,
their conferences, yeah.
I just worked one for them at Skywalker Ranch last week.
Okay, cool.
Their point guy
Skywalker Ranch up north, George
cool. Lucas is
nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, he's got a fake hotel in the front and then his actual ranch is like way up the street.
Yeah.
But so the way I saw them interacting would be like Oracle needs something. And they'd have a point person.
Yeah.
They go, we need 40 watermelons. Cool. 40 watermelons coming up. And you're the guy that like hooks it up.
I used to say, because we would do these pre-convention meetings where like somebody would come from every department, if the client was big enough, every department you're using, a bell manager, a front desk manager, whatever, a convention manager, usually 6 people. If it was a big guest, there'd be like 20 departments there, like we would have casino casino reps and shit out sometimes too. Just depending on the client. And I would always just say, call me for anything. Like my job is, if there's somebody whose phone number you don't know, you can call me. If there's something like, what would I say? Rockstar request. If you need a bowl full of green M&Ms, you call me.
Right.
And somebody was like fucking with me once, like, give me green. I want a bowl of green M&Ms. The M&M store was like across the street. So I just went and got like $10 worth of green M&Ms and they tipped me like $1,000. You know what I mean? It was like one of the
because they thought you did the whole.
Well, not only that, but I worked for them all week. On my days off, I'm getting 100 calls because usually it's just whoever helps them first is whoever gets the calls all week.
Yeah.
And it was a big client and I helped them first, and I did the green M&M thing and they just literally, just throw money at you, for no reason.
Totally. My catchphrase when a client's asking for something, it's like they hire me to do like a specific interview setup or shoot headshots for their client or whatever. And if they add something, they're like, is it possible? Can you just run over here and just shoot a little something? I'm like, it's Burger King, baby. You can have it your way.
Yeah.
And they love it. They giggle. It's like my one little catch joke. And they're like, I could do whatever I want. And sometimes it gets me in trouble because they're like, well, what if we shoot this and this and this and this? I'm like, sure. And then I just put that and that and that and that on my invoice.
Yeah.
And that goes to somebody else in billing and then they don't see it and I get paid.
You go, well, you put them all on the invoice. You go, sure. You know what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what's funny too is conventions is such a weird world because there's a woman who makes $40,000 a year. Nowadays, we'll call it 60. When I was there, 40. There's a woman who makes $40,000 a year, and she represents $2 million worth of business at the hotel. And she gets drunk on power so fast because everyone is like, hey, you represent $2 million. Meanwhile, she's got as many Southwest points as a road comic does, but her company paid for all of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those where it's like, you know, you got this lady who just, I don't know, she's going to bring it down on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I saw that happen at Skywalker last week because they invite their top 100 clients. And each client, like the minimum client's worth like $20 or $30 million in analytics or whatever. But the Skywalker Ranch only has 49 rooms or 50 rooms. So they put their top 49 clients in those rooms, and then they have the convention there, but the other 60 people have to stay down the street. And you can see that it's like, all they do is bring them in and ask them if the stuff's working. I don't know anything about analytics or tech stuff, but they're like, is it working and how can we improve this experience? And you can see like the number one client, he's like, I sponsored dinner tonight and enjoy this and blah, blah, and I buy the most from Oracle. And everybody's like, yeah, whatever, dude. I don't care. But these aren't $200 million people. They're just people who make $50 million decisions. I mean, they're probably making 100, 200 grand a year, but they're rolling the carpet out for me to sell you to Oracle. I got to get through you. You're the guy. And if that dude wants green M&Ms, you're going across the street. Man.
And you know what's funny is that was kind of a big part of it too, is a lot of these Oracle's like Oracle has probably 100 US conventions a year. You know what I mean? Like I worked with some groups that like these ladies they're doing midweek in Dallas, weekend Vegas, going to Orlando. You know, it's like they're hitting 6 cities before they go home. You know, they're on tour as convention, meeting planners. And a lot of times you're trying to sign future business. So you're getting called in like, hey, make it happen, because those ladies, they're looking at signing 2 more years, and it's a lot of money. So
and they want to get it done. They're like, oh, I got these next 4 conventions booked out. I'm going to work with Alex. He's going to handle it. I don't have to worry about it.
And when they do come back, it's all your money again. You know, it's cool. We had another thing that was interesting is there's this company, I forget who they were, but they were like one of those big conventions everywhere. And they did. They owned a nonprofit doing hearing aids in like Africa. They would go down there and do tests. Like, so I used to work. I worked for, when I was very young, I worked for Sunglass Hut forever, and we had something like that where we do eye exams, give kids glasses. You just send the truck out there for a couple weeks. And they do that kind of stuff for hearing assistance, and they had 3 guest speakers. It was like the coolest moment of my life is I walked out of back of house and I see George W. Bush walking by. Yeah. And one of our security managers who's like against it, like just like freaking out because he had just assured everyone no one was going to be there. And I walk out and he's like, get against the wall, just screaming at me. Yeah. But then they walk by and George Bush just like, how you doing? Hey. Just like idiot, so cool. They had him. They had Bill Clinton, and they had Donald Trump
on the same bill.
But this was 10 years ago. Okay. I mean, this was years before Trump even said he was going to. I mean, and it was just one of those where now that I'm who I am, I'm like, oh, that company's into some shady shit. Oh. You got 2 ex-presidents and a future president at your convention.
Your private plane has some stains on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We had a couple like politicians come in for shit, and knowing what I know, like I had to walk. What was his name? I forget. It was one of those like conservative guys that nobody liked, but I had to like walk him around the hotel.
Like Bill O'Reilly or something.
It was like what was his name? Carl Rove? No. Not Rove, not that. Carl Rove, I think was his name. But I had to like walk him to the room. He was like giving But now you look back and you're like, I should not have been that close to some, you know what I mean? Right. Like, it was kind of weird.
The fun thing for me that I've experienced on some of the, like, at least casino legs of some of the tours that I've been on is I've been handling celebrity talent on commercials and movies for 15 years. Yeah. They don't know that they can ask for certain shit. I remember the first time that we called security at a casino in Atlantic City after the show to walk Tim through the kitchen and up to his room without having to walk through the floor. Yeah. And he was like,
yeah, you can do that.
Cool.
The funny thing, the guy I do a podcast with, he opens theaters for Fortune Feimster sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But when they met, he was famous and she wasn't. She was up and coming. Yeah. So he'll go with her and he'll do runs with her, and they've been friends for years, and he's like, I'll drive you from town to town, I'll do everything, I'll open. It's just like a fun gig. You get to hang out with his friends, better than doing shitty C-room clubs and stuff, Dude,
opening's not a bad gig. It's bad money.
Well, when you're a headliner opener like Dustin does for Taylor or whatever, like, you get the first 20 minutes. It's not like you're doing 5 for, it's not a bad spot. And then you get to take the night off.
Yeah.
But he was fortunately, he was like, no, someone needs to be here to show you where you park. Someone needs to be here to show, it was just pretty much like, listen, as someone who's been famous, you're being too damn nice. Like, I understand you're nice, but you shouldn't be parking in the, you shouldn't have to walk 5 minutes from your parking spot to the venue you sold 3,000 seats to,
exactly.
Like, you can, I'll call somebody.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Speaking of celebrities, a lot of times when you work with a celebrity, they have a hard out.
Hard out, yep.
And a hard out is when you absolutely have to leave by a certain time.
Smooth.
And it is now 3:45, which is your hard out.
My hard out.
So can we call this part 1, and maybe in a couple months you come back and do part 2?
I'll do another anytime.
Amazing. Thank you for coming.
Anytime. I had fun. Thank you.
And sorry I was late.
No problem. And your space here is beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Awesome.